Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Amar. On this channel, we usually focus on electric skateboards, making reviews, tutorials, that sort of stuff. But today I'm bringing you guys something a little bit different. So I actually have a number of hobbies outside of e-skate, like go-karting, like tech, and I've got a second YouTube channel called Tech Tutorial where I upload videos around all this stuff, and I might even start uploading videos about gym there too. So really the reason I'm putting this video on this channel is to make you guys aware that I do have that second channel, and when I'm not uploading on this channel, I'm usually uploading on that one. So if you're interested in tech reviews or go-karting, maybe gym stuff as well, head over to that channel and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. But without any further ado, getting into today's video, and this is going to be my coverage of the BIKC local final at Birmingham. And for those of you that don't know, the BIKC is the British Indoor Karting Championships. I think this is the second year that they're running it now, and it's really run by Team Sport, I think, and Team Sport is the largest indoor go-karting track in the UK. They literally have go-karting venues splashed all across the UK. This tournament is, I think, regulated by Motorsport UK, so it's really official, and it's an awesome competition to be a part of. I somehow, God knows how, qualified to partake in the local final, and this video really is going to be the coverage of the qualifiers and then also the final race from the local final. I am now going to be progressed into the regional final. I didn't have to do much to get into the regional final, but it is what it is. I'm in the regional final. So I might actually be making content on that as well, and that's, as I said, going to be on my second channel. Now, I'm by no means a professional karter. I'm very much a novice when it comes to this stuff, and that became abundantly clear at the local finals. I was probably the only one there that didn't look like the Stig. I didn't have my own race suit. I didn't have my own race gloves or shoes or anything like that. Just had my own helmet. Everyone else was dressed for the occasion. Everyone else there had plenty of practice under their belts. So this is just really me giving my racing excuses before we even get into anything else. I'm probably the least experienced karter who was there on that day. I think all in, I've probably raced about 8 times on 8 different occasions with Team Sport. So not a lot of racing at all when you think about it. Some of these guys have been, racing for 7, 8, 9 years. The other big disadvantage that I get is my weight. I think I was actually the second heaviest there. There was one guy who was heavier than me, about 45 kilograms heavier. But again, he had so much more experience. I was speaking to him after the race, and it turns out that he does 50-lap races, I think twice a week, and he's been doing that for a long time. So the amount of experience that this guy has compared to me is, unrivaled. And the same thing with everyone else. I was probably the least experienced guy on the track, and also, one of the heaviest guys on the track. Add those two things together, and really it's a shock that I've somehow managed to wiggle my way into the regional finals. I did end up in P3 out of P5 for the heavyweights, but even if I came last, it wouldn't have mattered because the first 6 people from each category are pushed onto the next stage. I will go to the regional finals, and then if I make it past the regionals, which is extremely unlikely or impossible, I would then have a chance at winning the national title for the heavyweight category, and that would be pretty insane. Nothing I can do for this year probably. I'm not experienced enough, but I'll definitely give that a crack next year. But yeah, racing excuses out the way. This is just a fantastic event to be part of. I've smashed my personal best. I've got a much better and quicker lap time than I've ever had before, just from racing with members. It's such a nice experience racing with other members. It's my first time racing with other Team Sport members. They're such clean racers, really great sportsmen and great sportswomen as well. And it's absolutely fantastic to be racing with them. And I honestly learned so much about racing etiquette from them. I've learned about racing lines, when to overtake, braking lines, all that sort of stuff. So absolutely no regrets at all about joining Team Sport, firstly, as a member, and secondly, coming into the whole BIKC thing and competing. I'd highly recommend anyone to compete in it if you're in any doubt at all. And also I'd add that the Team Sport staff at Birmingham especially have been absolutely fantastic. They've taken care of us really nicely, really well, and I can't praise them enough. But with all that said, let's now get straight into the qualifying laps. And we're off then into our qualifying session. Here's my pathetic attempt at tyre warming. I honestly watched too many RB racing videos and Learn to Race videos. They're like literally my karting idols. But yeah, getting into this qualifying session and just hoping for the best, really, hoping I can crack a new PB time. I do actually get a new PB in this session, but ultimately I get an even better PB in the actual race. So stay tuned for that later on in the video. Now, not even one lap into this qualifying session and already being overtaken by some of the medium weight karters, I do let him pass, not that I've got a choice not to, and pressure from behind forces me to make stupid mistakes like that. If you're wondering, by the way, why I keep tugging away at my race suit, it's because it's basically too big for me, and the bottom of it ends up going just beneath the soles of my shoes, and basically makes my feet slip around on the bottom of the cart, which is no good. I definitely should probably invest in my own race suit for that reason alone. Now, as I take this apex quite wide, you can see there to my left, there's two karts just behind me. One of them is Peter, who is also racing a bit later on in the heavyweight category, same as me, and I believe the other karter as well is also in the heavyweight category. So I know this isn't a competitive session, but honestly I've never raced with Peter before, so I didn't really want to let him overtake me, even though it seems like he's got a little bit more pace. You can see there he cuts on the inside, but I get the cut back on him, and I've got the inside line, so I'm going to stay ahead there. But yeah, I didn't really want to let him pass, not because of course there's any positions to be gained or lost, just because I was a little bit afraid that he might be slower than me, and then he would slow me down and not allow me to get a quick lap time, qualifying lap time, and that might put me last on the grid. But of course I was completely wrong here, because I realized I was probably the slowest karter out of anyone on this session. You can see two karts going past there. One of them might be heavyweight, the other one's a medium weight, but Peter's still staying behind me. So really, I think for this qualifying session and also for the race, the closest matched karter to me is going to be Peter, probably because of his weight. You can see there, almost gets the inside line on me, and almost gets the overtake and the move done. But because of his weight, I guess he's getting the same sort of pace out of the kart that I do. So he doesn't manage to pull it off in the end. By the way, if you haven't gathered by now, the heavyweights are actually sharing the track with the middleweights and also the super heavies. So those sort of three weight categories have been all jumbled up and put onto the same track. But of course the timesheets between the middleweights and the heavyweights and super heavies is going to be different. I guess it's just for logistics purposes and just to ensure that the night goes a lot quicker. Now this is happening for the qualifying session. It's also going to be the same in the race later on. Also the same for the featherweights and the lightweights. So they're both going to be sharing the track when they do race just after us. But they are ultimately treated as separate categories, and the best 6 of each will go through. Now, a quick glance to my right there, and you can see the absolutely enormous kart train which I formed behind me, because I basically have the slowest pace out of anyone here. And yeah, I've got to say, hats off to all the members on the day. This is my first time racing with only members. Previously, I've only raced in public sessions, and if there's a kart train or if there's someone that desperately wants to get past me, they're just going to ram me right into the barriers. That probably would have happened like 50 times by now if this was a public 50-lap session. And yeah, I'm just really taken aback by how respectful all the other karters are. They're waiting for the perfect opportunity to overtake me. It's very, very clean racing. Of course, there are basically marshals on every single point of this track. Everything's been watched very closely, so I'm sure that plays a part in it too. But yeah, just really respectful, clean racing, and I really appreciate that. I definitely want to be doing some more members races going forward, and just racing, driving amongst all these very talented karters, it's making me a much better karter. Putting that pressure on, from behind is making me drive faster, and also seeing, learning from their lines when they do overtake me. It's just massively helpful experience. I'm sure it's not very fun for the karters which I'm holding back. They're probably thinking, who's this annoying back marker? Like, just get out of our way, for God's sake. But yeah, it's definitely a really good experience for me, and I definitely want to be racing with more members going forward. Another reason why I'm driving quite defensively, looking back all the time, trying to make sure that no one passes me unsuccessfully, is because I haven't actually karted for a while before this, and I've got my final coming up really soon. So I'm just trying to practice driving a bit defensively in case I need it during the final. Treating this as a bit of a practice, as well as getting possible fastest qualifying lap time, so I can start a bit ahead on the grid. So coming in for this turn here, just before the down ramp, and the kart behind me, I guess, gets a little bit frustrated, wants to get past me, makes contact and ends up in the barrier. And notice how no red flag, no yellow flag, the kart just literally, the driver just recovers himself. And, this is the caliber of racers and karters that you get to experience in events like this and in members events. Everyone just has a very good level of skill, and, they can navigate themselves around the track. They've got very good awareness of the kart and stuff. I don't actually think there were any yellow or red flags in any of the sessions that I was watching or participating in anyway. I bet the marshals really enjoy events like this and members events in general, because they don't have to spend every 10 seconds running and rescuing someone from a barrier. They can kind of chillax a bit. So you can see here the kart ahead is just pulling away, and I get a little bit frustrated. I don't know what I'm doing to the steering wheel. Hitting the steering wheel is not going to help me get any faster, but yeah. Once again, taking a defensive line through here, and if this was a public session, someone would have sent it straight through the inside, knocked me to the side and got past. But as I said, very respectful racing from everyone involved today. No idea why I waved this kart through. It's not like I've got some sort of boost that I can go in front of him and block him up again. He would have made it past me anyway. As I start this next lap, you can see there's still a bit of a kart train behind me. And I'm sure some of those guys have been there for quite a few laps now, so they must be really, really frustrated and looking to make a move sometime soon. I'd hate to have ruined their qualifying lap times because, if I'm holding them up, then ultimately they won't be able to get as quick laps as they want to qualify higher up on the grid for the actual race. But ultimately, I just kept hearing Gary's voice in my head saying, just forget about everyone else on the track, just worry about your own sessions, your own laps. Ultimately, it's part and parcel of the race. If someone wants to get past you, if you're interfering with their race, then it's on them to get past you. I shouldn't need to slow down to let anyone past, really, unless they're coming around to lap me or something. I don't know if blue flags apply for indoor karting, but usually you should let lapping karts get past. You can see Peter again, I think, here, giving me a slight nudge from the right. Just really trying to get past now. I was speaking to him after the race, actually, and he told me he was literally just waiting for me to make a mistake so he can capitalize on that. And I do eventually make a mistake, as you'll see very soon. One recurring problem I have is that I brake way too much sometimes, and I just lose so much pace and momentum, and that ruins some of my laps. So I really need to learn brake control, how to brake better. Sometimes I know it's a short, punchy, sharper brake, and sometimes it's a bit of a more endured, longer brake. Sometimes just letting off will suffice, but it's really just knowing the balance between when to brake, when to let off. I'm still getting to grips with this track. I've only thinking about electric skateboards. You don't ride tracks, you drive tracks. But yeah, I've only driven this track probably 4 or 5 times, I think, something like that. The rest of the times have been at Coventry. Once again, you can just see the nose of Peter's kart poking there on the left, still really trying to get past me. I'm really worried at this point that I'm destroying his lap times, but yeah, can't be worse than mine, I guess. At least he's not going to start last on the grid for the final. I leave the door wide open here. That was my mistake, letting Peter go straight past me. I was thinking of taking the inside there, but I would have made contact with him. That wouldn't have been good. And the yellow flag comes out, I think meaning that this is the end of the qualifying race session. So he got past me literally just in time, but he wouldn't have had enough time to set a qualifying lap alone without me holding him back. No idea what I'm doing at this point, kind of embarrassing to be honest. But yeah, that's the end of the qualifying session. My best time was a 48.186, which is my personal new PB, but I do improve on this in the final race. But what that means is that I was basically the slowest driver on the track for the qualifiers, and that means I'll be starting the back of the grid for the final race here. If you can hear that sort of whirring noise coming out of my car, I was a little bit worried about that, but I didn't want to cause a fuss or delay the race anymore, so I just left it. And we're off. You can see there I'm trying to get into the center, because sometimes in public sessions you can catch people off guard, but not in this race. Everyone's really on the ball, putting it in the inside here. I'm just trying to follow Craig at this point, because he seems to be piling through these karts. He's already got past 2. Just giving the kart a bit of a push there, and he increased momentum and right into the back of Craig there. I'm really sorry, Craig. I think I've been watching too many Learn to Race videos and seeing Gav send it right down the inside. But yeah, I wasn't expecting everyone to slow down so suddenly. But I think we've come off with an okay start. There's 2 karts behind me, although I think only one of them is in my category, the heavyweight category. But still, I'm kind of feeling confident at this point. I'm just really happy that I'm not the last guy in my weight category. I'm not the last guy in the race, and I'm just desperately trying to keep this going. Just really, my aim for this race was not to end up last, but that doesn't last for long. I left the door wide open and Peter just sends it straight through the inside. I think there was a little bit of contact there and I lost a little bit of my momentum. I did have to shrug the kart a bit to get up to the top of the incline. But yeah, I was a bit frustrated at this point at myself. Now my aim really is just to catch up with Peter, because I think out of everyone in this race, he's the only one that's quite close to my weight range. So if there's anyone that I can get past, it's just going to be him. You'll be able to see just now just how much of a difference weight can make in these karts. They're not very fast karts. That middleweight driver that just overtook Peter is now making a good amount of distance between himself and Peter. And Peter's kind of back here with me, and I'm going to make a move right there, which I was really happy about, because that's the exact same move that Peter did on me just one lap ago to take that position from me, and this move was for position, so I'm now no longer last in the race. And now I'm going to try and drive a little bit defensively to make sure that I don't make a mistake again, the same mistake again. And yeah, let's see where this race takes us. At this point, I see Craig pulling into the pits, which I was really chuffed about, not going to lie, because I know that I'm one position ahead. And I looked to the left and I also saw Peter pulling into the pits. I later discovered that they've both been black flagged for some reason, no idea why. But yeah, that now puts me in P3 out of 5 possible positions. And I'm really happy about that, because I know that I would have to do something really stupid or get black flagged myself to end up last in this race at this point. All I really need to do is keep some consistent laps going, because I know that, Peter and Craig are going to stay in the pits for a good 40-50 seconds at least. That's a full lap. And in such a short race, it's going to be really difficult for them to make that extra lap up. Just goes to show, I guess, just like Paul and Gary were telling me, under race conditions, literally anything can happen. So never hold your breath. You can see Peter there just pulling out the pits. I almost took him out. I was considering braking and slowing down, but I thought I might skid out straight into him. Luckily, he just eased on the gas a bit and let me pass. At this point, I'm just really trying to focus on my laps. I don't want to make any big mistakes. I think this apex here, this turn, was probably my worst, one of my worst throughout, this track, throughout the race. Although it's a big improvement from the past, I've got to say, but I do lose a lot of time, not knowing the lines perfectly. You can see there, I go a little bit wide on the apexes. I think at this turn here, turn 2, I've cut at least a few hundredths of a second from my previous lap times, just from watching people like Dante. I think Dante was last year's BIKC winner. His hot lap on YouTube, I've watched that religiously. Also, Gav Learn to Race, really thankful for him and his channel. His breakdown of the Team Sport Birmingham lap really helped me cut my time down. So yeah, I'm really grateful for those channels. And yeah, I'm also, whenever I go to a new track, I'm always watching, looking out on YouTube, seeing what I can learn from other people's racing lines, just to see where I can improve, because I'm obviously a complete novice when it comes to karting. Now the turn which I probably struggle the most with on this track is the turn just before the down ramp. As you can see there, I took it quite wide. I was just trying to carry as much momentum as possible going up the incline. But yeah, I'm just always trying to navigate that fine line between braking and letting off. I think with a person my weight, with all my gear, I'm about 115 kilograms. It's just all about carrying that momentum up the incline, because that can make or break my lap time. But yeah, if anyone's got any tips on how I can better navigate that turn, I would really appreciate it. I think I've been advised by Joe, for example, to not brake at all. He's considerably lighter than me, so I'm not sure if that would work in my case. But I don't think he brakes. He just literally skids a bit to slow himself down, probably lets off. I come in a bit tighter there, but as you can see, the tighter I come in, the less sort of momentum I carry up. So yeah, if anyone's got any advice on how I can improve on that turn, I would really appreciate it. Drop it down in the comments below. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that's Peter just there that you saw on my right side, just giving me a little nudge to remind me that he's there and he's trying to get past me. I do ideally want to keep him behind me, even though I know that if he does overtake me, it's not going to be full position. He still needs to do a complete lap around me and then come back. But I mean, he's already done one whole lap, since he's been black flagged within just like a few minutes. So it shows how slow I am compared to him. I guess I really need to be doing more of these sessions. I think he actually races 2 times a week on the 50 lappers. I've probably in total only raced at Team Sport about 7 or 8 times before this race. So really I need a lot more practice on my belt and a lot more experience just to increase my lap times. But yeah, still trying to keep him behind, and not for long. He's just made that move on me on the inside. Came out quite wide, made it really easy for him, unfortunately. But yeah, I still know at this point, like, he's going to have to do quite a lot to take this position from me. He's going to essentially have to complete one whole lap and then come back round and overtake me. So it's not going to be easy, and I don't think there's much longer in this final race either. At this point, I'm just staring at the back of Peter's car, trying to follow his lines, and I end up making silly mistakes like that one, going right into the barrier. Watching Peter for me is just really fascinating, because with all 8 times that I've raced at Team Sport, I've never actually raced with someone who's heavier than me. So it's really fascinating to me that someone heavier than me is actually getting faster laps. Because I always used to use that excuse that it's my heavy weight that's slowing me down and stopping me from getting those fast lap times. But I think his best time is a 46.9. So if he can do it at, I think, 5 or 6 kilograms heavier than me, of course I can too, and I can probably even get better than that, judging by the fact that I'm a little bit lighter. So it's really all in the racing lines that he's taking, the technique. I also noticed that he's very soft on the steering wheel. I can be quite aggressive with the steering wheel. I really need to learn to make more subtle movements rather than going jerky. Now, this being a really competitive race, where there's actually some sort of progression involved, going to the regionals in this case, seeing Peter ahead and really wanting to catch up to him really put the pressure on. This next lap here is actually my fastest lap of the day, and I've slapped a timer on the screen for you. Definitely not going to be an insanely quick lap, but for me this is half a second quicker than my previous PB, and this is my new PB. So I'm really happy with this, and just happy to get into the 47s really, but I'll let the rest of the lap play. there we have it. That was a 47.771 to be exact. Like I said, nothing special. The only people who were in 47s on the night were me and Peter. Everyone else was doing 46 or 45 seconds within that range. So obviously this is essentially the best of the best of the racers at Team Sport Birmingham. So I wasn't expecting to do amazingly well, but I'm just happy that I'm actually progressing because of entering the BIKC races. So big plus for me. If I can demonstrate some level of progression, then I'm happy with that. I think Peter also goes flat out through the chicane, whereas I'll let off a little bit around halfway through before I make the turn. I have taken it flat out a couple of times and it was really terrifying. I think I ended up smashing the barrier on the left-hand side on my way out. I didn't want to break any ribs, so I've resorted to letting off a little bit instead. But let me know if you have any tips on how I should be taking that chicane down in the comments below. So at this point I had a quick look back and I saw that the race leader was just behind me, about to lap me. So I thought, nothing to lose there, just let him pass, let him continue on with his race. I'd hate to slow him down and become that dreaded back marker and basically allow second place to catch up to him. So just let him pass, and I'm sure one day karma will get me back and someone will pass on the courtesy. Once again, when a quicker kart passes me, I end up staring at the back of their kart, trying to follow their lines, and I make silly mistakes like that one there, smashing into the barrier. Not that I can get a glimpse of his kart for very long. As you can see, within like literally half a lap, he's disappeared. That's how much pace these medium weights have over us heavyweights, and especially over heavyweights like me that aren't very experienced or skilled at karting. I'm going to be the standard boring YouTuber here, guys. If you're enjoying this content, if you're finding it entertaining or valuable in any way, then I'd really appreciate it if you could give the video a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really means so much to me. And to my normal subscriber base who are into electric skateboards, I will be dropping the Wowgo AT2 review very soon, so look out for that one. Another quick look back there, just to see that I'm about to be lapped once again by second and third place this time. So I just try and align our speeds and let them both pass. I wouldn't want to interfere with their race. Not that it matters, because I can just see the marshal there waving the checkered flag. So yeah, that means that I finished this race in third place, which I honestly couldn't be happier about, couldn't be more chuffed about. Not that it matters, because there are only 5 of us in the heavyweight category, I believe, and the top 6 actually go through to the regional finals. So even if I place last, I've pretty much guaranteed a spot on the regional finals, which I believe is in Nottingham. So I'd love to get a race done up there before the actual final. Not that I'll make it to the nationals, which is pretty much impossible that I'll make it to the nationals. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much to Team Sport. Thank you so much to all the amazing drivers and the racers, and to the Team Sport staff, the marshals. They were all absolutely fantastic. And yeah, hopefully see you on my second channel, Tech Tutorial, for more karting videos, tech videos, maybe gym videos. Thank you so much for watching, sticking around. I know this was a long one and it's something a bit different. I wouldn't usually put this sort of content on this channel. Hope you enjoyed it nonetheless, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.